Hey guys, Art Decline here, Average Picker. So I've got a few new challenge locks that I made, and I'm just going to give them a quick little test pick here. Basically, I just want to make sure none of them are going to open kind of by accident. But I thought I would go ahead and just film. That should be thick enough. And take it as an opportunity to clear up a few things on the radio, the transmitter video I did the other day. So and some of this just came in from questions or comments or things that I did receive. Cost. Wow, that's a weird feeling pin. I think if you factor out all our learning curve and stuff, we were probably in for somewhere between $400 and $600 on the equipment. So when did I do this? I did it mostly, our successful attempt where we really ran for years was up and running in the 90s. And there was a lot of information available online then. That was kind of the third attempt. The first one, we had some zines we had used, and the information was it was old. I mean, the zine would probably been around since the 70s. And a lot of the parts, when we went out to part hunting, a lot of the parts turned out to be, discontinued or really hard to find. And at that point, our knowledge of it was really based on that zine, or I guess there was two zines that we had. And so we didn't really know what might be adequate substitutions for parts and things like that. I think this one's going to turn out all right. I don't usually pick them to open. I just kind of pick to make sure they're not going to just trip open accidentally. It's much snappier going counterclockwise. That one will pass inspection. So yeah, the transmitter itself, it's a Veronica transmitter, which I mentioned, and it's actually a kit from England. Now that Veronica was mostly assembled for me by a guy in Washington State, and then we did some modifications and repairs and stuff to it, just over time. The antenna, you could do a whole video on antennas, man. Antennas get complicated. Ours was really basic at first, and then later we ended up, we did upgrade later. And our basic antenna worked really well. It was pretty much just built out of coat hangers and PVC pipe. And an SO239 connector, which you kind of need. You really need. So, but yeah, later we upgraded to a Comet antenna, which is like it's kind of a high-end residential or high-end consumer antenna or a low-end commercial antenna, depending on how you want to look at it. Let's see, what else was there? A lot of people mentioned some people mentioned things like ham and an illegal ham station, high-powered ham and CBs and stuff like that. So here in the States, and I'm not up on the most current laws, but for FM transmitting, anything over 1 watt, wow, these pins just don't go anywhere. It almost makes me want to test it again. I know this was just turning a minute ago. But yeah, here in the States on FM, anything over, oh, that's rough. Yeah, but yeah, it does turn. Anything over 1 watt of power on FM is a felony. So every time we turned that transmitter on, it was technically a felony. And there was an effort when we were running it. It looked like for a hot second they were going to pass a law allowing micro broadcasting stations. And we did start to fill out the paperwork to get a license. We would not have passed, though. There was very limited number where we were that they were giving out. I think for the whole state, they were allowing like 8 licenses or something. And if we had been a church, our odds would have greatly increased. But you also had to be able to prove that you could do an X amount of airtime, and our airtime was just not up to the kind of the minimum qualifications that you were having to show. We also didn't have any kind of sponsors or anything like that. And all that kind of, it was like a point system. So you basically, they had a whole bunch of criteria, and the more criteria you met, the more points you got. And then whoever was going to have the highest points, like those 8 people submitting, would receive a micro broadcasting license. So when we did it, yes, there was an internet. And yeah, we could have gone and done the internet, but why do the internet when you can do FM? I mean, that was the crowning jewel for us. I mean, the goal was to get on and counteract, I guess, or something, the radio itself. So we weren't interested in just being another online station. And there was an internet, but the technology, honestly, streaming then was still very sketchy. And you had dial-up modems still quite prevalent. And so it made the whole thing kind of, the whole, we'll do an internet channel. It just, I don't know. It's something about it. It felt more like we were going to get just kind of lost in a sea of internet radio stations. And really what we wanted to do was be focused on our area and providing some kind of alternative. It's looking pretty good on these challenge locks. And I guess on the legality note, were we worried? Yes and no. I mean, we did everything wrong. I wrote a primer called 1 Watt Revolution, which circulated a little bit. There's a PDF and a website. It said build a calculator you could do all your antenna calculations with. But we had the whole left of the dial was pretty much nobody was transmitting on it. I mean, there was no real stations. We had a limiter on our line. I mean, honestly, we were more locked in with less leakage across the spectrum than a lot of the big stations had. So we ran it very tight, and you had to go past some static and then get to us, and you had to be doing it, after midnight. So were we concerned? Yes. Were we doing everything absolutely the wrong way? Yes. Did we really think we were going to get caught or anything? Probably not. Just because we were being smart about being stupid. Put it that way. So that's probably the best way I can sum that up. But yeah, it very much pirate station. So kind of, I guess, I'm not sure how to sum it up. Am I still doing it? Would I still do it? That sort of thing. 1, I wouldn't tell you if I was. 2, the answer is no. I'm not. It is one of those things. There's something about pirate radio and the idea that it just gnaws at your brain, and it just slowly eats away, and it makes you think, oh, I want to do it again. I want to do it again, or I want to do it a first time. I want to do it a first time. And you have to step across that gap eventually. It's either just going to eat away at you, and you're going to find yourself later saying, oh, it's something I've always wanted to do. Or you have to make the jump and go for it and, actually kind of do it. I know there's a couple stations, or there were, I don't know what their shapes are, that we inspired to get running. And I thought that was really cool. And, honestly, some of them, it was probably like 10 years before some of them got up and running. And it was kind of neat because I received a couple emails here and there. And, it was like, oh, I remembered hearing you guys and all this stuff, and the idea ate away at me, and it just bugged me and bugged me and bugged me, and I finally decided I'm going to do my own. So yeah, it took 10 years, but we probably inspired 2 stations, so I'd call that worth it. That's just the way it works. But so here where I am now, there's a lot of factors why I wouldn't. One being there's a nearby FCC listening station, so there's that issue. The other is my girlfriend she's very nervous about the idea and does not like it, especially you really do not want to run this thing out of where you live. It's a really, really bad idea. Now, we were renting, so at the time I did this, it was a rental, so a little bit less sketchy, but I mean, as far as I know, nobody has done jail time for it. The problem is, and you can, but I don't think anyone has that I'm aware of, here in the States anyway. But you can be fined, and the fine can be quite substantial, and they're allowed to confiscate anything in and around the transmitter that they think has to do with the pirate station. And there's cases of people even losing like a picture of Jesus on their wall or something because the reasoning was, well, you looked at that picture and that inspired some of what you had to, some of your programming. I mean, literally people losing sofas and all their furniture in their house because they sat at that table to work the equipment. And so that's really where, when you own the house, it's kind of a whole different, there's a lot more risk and stuff. And the radio here does suck and it still plays a lot of the same crap. But, it's just a lot more crowded. There's not the space to punch in on. And doing so, we would definitely be interrupting some other signals, which, you can say, well, that's out of the spirit of the pirateness or something. That's for a whole different discussion, though. But yeah, FCC listening station, airwaves are way too crowded right now, and we own this property. So there we go, guys. Challenge locks. I'll be getting some stuff out in the mail. I've got a package going out. Hopefully I'll make it to the post office in an hour. If not, I'll do it tomorrow morning. Anyway, guys, there we go. Just another quick little video. And yeah, we got to get back to some real lock stuff. So, all right. You guys have a good one.